But when we speak life and we live what we say, it is important that we speak what we seek until we see what we've said. We have to speak what we seek until we see what we've said. Now, I don't know about you, but that quote got me. Now, it seemed like it might have landed on y'all like a big wet bag of sand. But for me, I saw it. It got in my spirit. Because the reality of it is that we can say we're going to speak life, but until we speak it and get it down in our spirit, things won't begin to change. Until we speak it and we believe it down to the bottom of our souls on our feet, things won't begin to change. We have to see it until we have to speak it until we actually see it. And if it doesn't look like it's changing, guess what? You have to keep on speaking it. If it doesn't look like it's making a difference, then you have to keep on speaking it. It's not just about just saying positive. You know, there's tapes and CDs out there that say, you are a winner. You can do this. You are the greatest. You are, you know, and I'm sure they have their place. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about speaking until a situation changes. Because when you speak it, as we talked about last week, God hears those words. It's a covenant. When you speak, God moves into action. Y'all understand what I'm saying? He spoke the world into the existence that we see today. So when we speak, we have to speak it until it exists. It's absolutely vital that we get that. Well, see, here's the thing. So we talked last week about speaking, and we went into in-depth about speaking, but there's two parts to it. There's speaking and there's life. You got to speak life. So what we're going to spend a few minutes here today talking about is the life side of things. What does that really mean? We're speaking life. We're just saying it. It sounds good. We're speaking life. We're going to another level. We're going to another dimension. We're moving into the next level or whatever. And a lot of people don't really know what that is, what that really means. You know, when you say speak life, it sounds good. It sounds like, it sounds like something that you want to say or wear on a T-shirt or do whatever the case may be. But a lot of people don't necessarily know what that means. I don't like to not know what stuff means. I like for you to understand because I like to understand. So today we're going to get an understanding. Amen? It's absolutely important that you understand that when we say speak life, we're not necessarily just talking about speaking to where you have a pulse. We're not necessarily just speaking to where there is a difference between living life and being alive. It is vital that we understand that God didn't just call us to be alive. God didn't just say that you can choose life just for us to have a 98.8 degree body temperature and a heartbeat and a pulse and a conscience just to exist. I don't know about you, but I don't want to go through life just existing. You can even achieve all of your dreams and all of your goals, and in a few years, you find yourself wondering, is this it? You can find yourself saying, God, is this all there is? What is next? But I thank God that we don't serve a God that blesses us with his best in our past. Whatever it is that he's looking to bless us with, it's the best for our future. It's the best for what he has planned for us. He says, I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans for you to succeed, plans to give you hope and a future. That's not just a plan for you to just sort of say, you know what, God? Boy, I tell you, 1995 was the best year. Ooh, I have not had a better year since 95. Some of you say, my best year was 1972. Oh, no, listen. God is not about blessing you with his best in your past. Doesn't matter what you achieved in 1995. It doesn't matter what it looked like was the greatest time in your life in 2005. I'm here to let you know that 2016, you can have life and life more abundantly. Better than anything that you've ever thought of. Somebody understands what I'm saying. So let's talk for a few minutes about what we're talking about as it relates to life. Okay, there are three things that I want to share with you in terms of life and really even how God even views life. Now, you all are very familiar with the passage of scripture out of Deuteronomy 30 and 19, right? It says, I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that you and your children may live. Now, there's another translation of that which breaks it down a little bit better, in my opinion. It says, you can choose life or death. The first choice will bring a blessing. The other choice will bring a curse. So choose life. So, to God, when you are choosing life, when you are speaking life, you are speaking a blessing. I said when you are speaking life, you are speaking a blessing. He said, choose life. One will bring a life, one will bring a blessing, one will bring a curse. So life will obviously bring the blessing. Death will obviously bring the curse. So when you are speaking, you need to be speaking a blessing. You need to be speaking a blessing over yourself. You need to be speaking a blessing over your situation. You need to be speaking a blessing over somebody else. And you need to be speaking a blessing over somebody else's situation. When you come into a room, you need to be a blessing in that room. You need to leave that room better than it was when you found it. Have you ever talked to somebody that whenever you talked to them, you just felt, oh, you just saw them come, you're like, oh, Lord, is she coming? Oh, Jesus, oh, Lord. You thinking the whole time, how long is it going to be before this conversation is over and it hadn't even started yet? You ever met somebody that coming your way, you just as soon just set yourself on fire and have a conversation with them? I'm telling you that when you go, especially as a blood-washed believer, especially as a child of God, when people on your job see you, they shouldn't be saying, oh, Lord, here she comes. They should know by the life that you are living. There's a movie out. It's called Inside Out. It's a children's movie. So I don't expect many of the adults to have seen it, but perhaps some of the adults who have children have seen it. I don't really have children, so I'm not real sure how I ended up seeing it, but I did see it. It's an animated movie, and essentially what it has is it is a movie about emotions. And it's a movie about a little girl, and the whole movie is told about her experiences as they are told by her emotions that govern her behavior. And there are certain emotions. The emotions are the characters, the main characters. And there are certain primary emotions. One is joy, and she's the happy one. She's smiling. She's always trying to counteract things. There's one that is disgust. She's the one that's always got an attitude. She's the one that's always shaking her head. She's always the one that's rolling her eyes. There's one that's called fear. And he's the one that's always, you can pretty much, y'all see where this is going? It's a children's movie. It's not that complicated. And so fear, and he's there, and he's governing everything. There's anger, and he's the one that's ready to go off every time you turn around. Some of y'all got more than one anger character on the inside. But there's one that's called sadness. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? And sadness, actually, joy and sadness were really the two main character emotions, the two main characters in the movie. And they were kind of two sides to the same coin. But what ended up happening was, long story short, sadness's influence was much more pervasive than joy. Joy had to work doubly hard to counteract every single thing that sadness did. Sadness was so pervasive that everything would be going fine, and then they'd look around and the whole room would go dim. And they said, what happened? What happened? And they'd look around and sadness has touched the situation. And they said, sadness, what did you do? Why did you touch the situation? Long story short, they ended up getting separated because sadness could be kept in check so long as joy was there. Joy had to work doubly hard, but as long as joy was there, the little girl would return back to normal. Do y'all see what I'm saying? Ain't nobody seen that movie? Somebody, just act like you've seen this. All right, thank you. So there was a time where they got separated, and so sadness was left unchecked. As she was being left unchecked, as an emotion of sadness was being left unchecked, the whole person's world came crashing down. Every situation, every interaction, everything came crashing down because she just literally went through touching different situations. Does anybody understand what I'm saying here today? What we have to do is that we have to speak life into our situations, because if left unchecked, sadness will run amok in our lives. If left unchecked, sadness will run around touching everything. Sadness was blue, joy was yellow. If everything was just left unchecked, our whole life would be just nothing but blue. I like the color blue, but I don't have to have blue around all the time. Every single time she came into the situation, she just couldn't smile. She just was dragged, and joy was just, if I was joy, I would have just said, look, I'm going to give up on you. I'm going to just kick you out. We're just going to think happy thoughts. But the reality of it was that when she was left unchecked, the person was out of balance. If we're not careful, if we don't learn to speak life into our situations, we will find ourselves being the saddest person in the room. We'll be sad for no real reason. You ever just sort of sat there and you're just sad and you didn't even really know why? You just got tired of being sad. You woke up and when you wake up, and I don't know about you, but when I get up in the morning, it's kind of like a computer that's booting up. And if you know anything about computers, as you start them up, there's processes that they run in the background as they start up. There's things that you don't even know are happening as the computer starts up. Same scenario with me. As I start the day out, I may be going down to brush your teeth, wash your face, comb hair, get ready, but there are processes that are running in the background that if you're not careful in governing those processes, it'll dictate what your mindset is for that day. So if you're not careful to get those things out, some of the times you have to go into a computer and actually deactivate some of those startup processes so it doesn't cause the computer to run inefficiently. Where am I going with this? If you don't watch your startup processes in the mornings, you will find yourself dwelling on something before you even put on your clothes that you shouldn't even be dwelling on. You'll find yourself trying to concentrate through things, and you didn't even realize that you're still carrying the sad burden that you were thinking about before you went to bed last night. You don't even realize that your perspective, I'm jumping ahead, you don't even realize that you're carrying and dragging sadness around like a giant wrecking ball. But I'm here to let you know that God told us to choose life, and life to him are blessings. So you have to start speaking blessings over your life. You have to get up in the morning. You have to say, God, today is going to be a blessed day. I don't know what's getting ready to happen, God, but I know that with you, I'm going to be blessed. Whatever the situation is, God, that car may have acted like it didn't want to crank up when I cut it off last night. But God, I know that whatever it does this morning, it's going to be a blessing. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm speaking a blessing. Somebody needs to understand what I'm saying here today. When we speak life, we are talking about speaking blessings. It's vital that you get that. It's vital that you understand that. Now this one, I got to be honest. I don't always do. I don't always do. I have to repent. Listen, I never said I was there. As a matter of fact, speaking life is for me first. I never said I'd arrived. Never said I was perfect. Never said I had mastered it. But have you ever woke up and you just went somewhere and you just had an old mean look on your face for no reason? You just had a frown on your face for no reason. You just ain't nobody ever done that before. Some of y'all got them on there right now. You're just kind of going out and you just got a frown. You're just mad for no reason. You don't even know why you're mad. You're going to the gas station. You're just mad. I'll be honest. I've told y'all this story before. I used to go to the gas station, depending on what part of town I'm in. I used to have a mean look on my face, so wouldn't nobody say nothing to me. I'm just being real. It's just real talk. Don't ask me for no money. Don't ask me for no directions. Don't ask me about nothing. My tire can be on the flat, but don't even tell me because I got a mean look on my face. Don't nobody understand what I'm saying? Tell me how God gets the glory out of that. What we ought to do is when we come into somebody else's presence, we ought to be a light. When we come into somebody else's presence, they ought to be able to say, wow, what is that radiating from that individual? Pastor, you don't seem to understand. My feet hurt. I'm tired. I don't want to go home. I don't like my husband. My children acting up. I don't like this job. I'm not getting ready to smile. How much more energy does it take for you to wear a frown than for you to smile? This will be a hard one because I'll get this one back. I'll get this message back. I got 3 main women in my life, and 2 of the 3 gonna bring this back to me. I'm gonna let y'all figure that out. They're gonna tag team me. I ain't gonna hear the end of this. Let me move on because this ain't gonna turn out good for me. Amen. Let me move on. God help. Ephesians 4:29 says, when you talk, don't say anything bad, but say the good things that people need, whatever will help them grow stronger. When you open your mouth, it needs to be something constructive. If you can't make it constructive, then find a way to keep your lips sealed. But Pastor, sometimes people need to be told the truth. Well, then change the perspective. You got to say it, don't spew it. Sometimes we are meant to be salt in the earth. But that's from a preserving perspective, not from a bitter perspective. It ain't nothing worse than a saint who can't turn a kind word to anybody. I like to consider myself. I don't play. I never played poker. I never really knew how to do that. So I just didn't. And it's probably good. I probably would have lost everything I had anyway. But I consider myself to have a decent poker face, right? For lack of a better term. It's not meaning that pastor gonna play poker. It's just a poker face. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Come on. Can I talk to y'all today? And a lot of times, people will misconstrue what you consider to be a poker face. You consider it to be emotionless, but other people are seeing something different. Y'all see what I'm saying? Why are you so mad today? I ain't mad today. You got to work at it. You got to choose it. You got to live it. You should be able to brighten up a room. I'm gonna be honest, this is not easy. No one ever said it would be. There's not a lot of people that preach this and speak this for any length of time. But the reality of it is that I can't stand here and say speak life if you don't understand what I mean when I say life. I can sit here and say speak life all I want to, but if you're walking out here and you got a frown on your face when you're placing your order at the restaurant this afternoon. How long is this? How long is this line going to last? Now, I'm going to be honest. I've actually had certain emotions. Can I talk to you? I've had certain emotions so that the person that is watching me knows how I feel without me saying it. I don't know why I'm on this track today. Amen. But the reality of it is that I know I'm not alone. The fact of the matter is that we as saints, we got the Bible believing part down. We got the praying down. We know how to come and pray. We know how to shout. We know how to speak in tongues. We know how to do a lot of different things. But when it comes to actually living this life, so that somebody doesn't even ever hear you open up your mouth, they'll know there's something different about you. They'll know that when you come into the room, that all of a sudden the spirit in the room just changes. All of a sudden the whole disposition just changes. And it doesn't change for the worse. People don't need to be looking like they want to hang themselves when you come into the room. Oh, glory be to God. Let me move on. All right, the other thing that I want to mention to you is that life is also about finding the right perspective. The fact is that there is power in your perspective. We oftentimes have the wrong perspective. We will be going through something, and we will be dealing with something, and then immediately we will think the enemy wants to isolate us. So it's natural that we immediately think that no one else is going through what I'm going through. No one else understands what I'm dealing with. I'm the only one. Y'all remember, this sounds like Elijah. God had to tell Elijah, I don't know how many saints that haven't bowed to this God. You're not the only one. In fact, the scripture tells us that there's no temptation that we haven't faced that is not common to man. But with the temptation, God will make a way of escape. Listen, the fact of the matter is what you're dealing with, you're not the only one, baby. It's a matter of perspective. You need to have what I like to call a bird's eye view. Let me give you a couple of tips. You need to have a bird's eye view. You need to be able to change your perspective and how you see yourself and how you see your situation. I like to call it a bird's eye view, not because I like birds or I like because it's up high, but because it is a view from the top. When you see yourself at the top, your perspective changes. When you see yourself at the top, then you begin to actually realize that, you know what, there's certain levels of existence that I don't have to live in. There's certain things that I don't have to settle for. Somebody understands what I'm saying. The fact of the matter is that I heard, you may have heard it, I heard Bishop Jakes actually talk about the giraffe. Anybody heard that? He was over in Africa and he talked about the giraffe. And he was talking about the fact that the giraffe and how he eats, he has to eat at a certain level because of his height. But the reality of it is that they found out that if he actually even tried, the giraffe doesn't eat stuff off the ground. Found out that if the giraffe, the way he's built, his equilibrium will begin to change if he actually tries to bend all the way down and eat something that is beneath him. I'm not trying to say you need to be elitist. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I am trying to say that God has designed something higher for you. So you need to keep your head up at a certain level, because if the giraffe actually bends down and tries to eat something that is at a level that he's not designed to eat at, that he's not built to eat at, he will begin to black out. The blood flow will get confused, his equilibrium will get off, and before you know it, he will have passed out and he'll be on his way on check up out of here, all because he was bending down at a level where he shouldn't have been. He wasn't made to eat at a level lower. What am I trying to tell you? You as saints of God are not made to partake at a lower level. You're made to partake on a higher level. You've got to get that perspective down in your spirit. You're not a conqueror. You're more than a conqueror. You didn't win. It's already won. You see what I'm saying? You're not winning. You've already won. Ah, glory. Listen. It's hard. I'm telling you this is for me first. I wasn't going to share this, but I might as well. Yesterday, we went to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, 30 minutes north of Sikeston for a track meet, and it was a nice time. But I've gotten to the point in life, be it unwise, perhaps at times, where I don't pay that much attention to the weather. I don't pay that much attention to the weather because if you start trying to plan everything around the weather, you'll never end up going outside. You plan things around the weather, you'll never end up doing anything because you're afraid of what the weather going to do. And then before you know it, the weather going to do what it's going to do, and that's when I'm going to do my thing. Need to be prepared. I get that. Long story short, somebody, I blame you all. Because nobody told me that only 3 hours north is a completely different temperature and climate. Nobody told me that. I'm just talking 3 hours. So we're on the way back. It's nighttime, and it is snowing. Not flurries. I'm talking big old country flakes. And it's coming down sideways. Not just falling like your Christmas cards. I'm talking whiteout conditions. Y'all hear me? I'm talking whiteout. I had gone out to the car right before the end of the track meet to get the car warmed up to kind of get it going back. And that we had been inside the building for what seemed like, 40 hours. I don't know. We'd been cooped up inside. And I come out, and it's sleeting. It's snowing. It's, 2 degrees. The wind is blowing. I'm like, what is going on? I have a mother, bless her heart, she's always going to tell me about the weather. So she told me, but I wasn't listening. She did. She told me I wasn't listening. I'm just being real, I wasn't listening. I wasn't ready for that. So I get out, and we're on the way back home, and it's not raining. It's not really even snowing. It's just a big white mass of cotton falling out the air at an angle. But the reality of it is that the whole time, my wife knew my nerves were up. My children, they didn't say nothing. They were nice and quiet. Daddy, this ain't really time to be talking. There ain't no music going on. There's no, this ain't good. This ain't good. They ain't never really seen Daddy like that. This ain't really, This time to be in control. They used to dad for dad being in control, no problem. Hey, look, it's Superman. Superman was gone. And she knew that I was nervous and in bad shape. When you ask somebody to talk to you to get your nerves off, to get your mind off of what it is that make you nervous, and then when they start talking, you want them to be quiet. And I had to apologize. I said, look here, there was a no-win situation for you. I know I asked you to talk to me, and then you start talking to me, and I'm like, why are you talking to me about that? True? I was jacked up in the nerves department. We're talking 70 miles an hour is the speed limit, and I'm going below the minimum. Couldn't see. But the fact of the matter is that the whole time that I'm driving, the one that's sitting next to me, he has a different perspective. She's saying, you know what? You got to keep going. I said, I don't have to keep going. She said, no, you got to keep going. I said, no, you don't get it. I don't have to keep going. She said, you got to keep going because you know it's not going to last always. I said, I ain't worried about what it's going to last always. I'm talking about right now. She said, well, you know it's going to slack up the whole time. She's trying to tell me, you know it's slacking up. You can tell it's slacking up. It's not slacking up. This was last night. And I knew in less than 24 hours I was going to have to get up here and tell you to speak life. I knew that. I knew it was coming. And as I was finishing up this message, I said, I'm not going to share that testimony. I'm just going to keep that for another time. But the reality of it is that I'm trying to help somebody, is that when life throws different things at you, you still have to take the right perspective. The fact of the matter is that we weren't on the side of the road. The fact of the matter is that we were able to keep going. We were able to keep moving. We were able to get through it safely. But guess what? I bet y'all won't be going to Sikeston no more. Not in the wintertime. It's going to be July when I go. Let me move on. Let me move on. Somebody should have told me. Somebody should have told me. From a perspective standpoint, we have to also not look at other people. We like to look at other people and compare ourselves to other people. But the reality of it is that God didn't make you the same as somebody else. Your time frame may be different than somebody else's time frame. We all look at Bishop Jakes, we see him, but I think he just turned 60 years old. And now he's amassed a ministry. God has blessed him with a mega ministry. His children are able to be a part of it. They have books, they have all different other kind of things, but this is happening to him when he's 60. I'm sure there was a time when he was saying, Lord, I'd love to have all of this when he was 30. Love to have all of this when I was 40. But the fact of the matter is that we can't compare ourselves to somebody else because God has a different purpose for us. He has a different time frame for us. So in order to speak life to your situation, then don't compare yourself to somebody else. Always look for inspiration. I shared with you a while back that God shared with me to always look for him in every situation. I'm driving in whiteout conditions. And I ain't gonna lie, it was hard to find God in there. But the reality of it is that she kept telling me, well, Lord, he gonna bring us through. He has to bring us through. I said, yeah, I know what you're saying. But the reality of it is that we were able to keep going. We didn't have any problems. As nervous as somebody may have been, God was still with us. So you have to keep your perspective and look for inspiration in everything. Now, I know that sometimes we'll find somebody that we admire. I just told you not to compare yourself to somebody, but you're not necessarily looking at somebody else to compare. You're looking at somebody else for inspiration. That's different. Find something, find somebody, find something that inspires you. Listen, I'm not going to be naive. Let's not be naive. I know you're saints and you're blood-washed believers, but you can find some inspiration. Not all of your inspiration has to come just from the Bible. You can find inspiration in architecture. You can find inspiration in nature. You can find inspiration in art. You can find inspiration from a variety of different sources. Yes, get your inspiration from the scriptures. Of course you need to do that. But there's sometimes some things that God may be trying to get your way, that he has to show you and come at you a different way. When I'm in the Word, for me, it's like class. It's like studying. I have to, it's studying. I had to learn how to look for inspiration in the Word. For you, you may be able to find inspiration through other means. I'm not saying something ungodly. Please don't get me confused. But it may be something as simple as colors on the side of a building. It may be something as simple as a saying that you heard somebody else say. Learn to find inspiration as you change your perspective. The last thing that I want to share with you, and we're wrapping it up, is that life to God means abundance. You know this scripture all too well. John 10:10 says that the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. But Jesus said, I come that you may have life, and that you may have life more abundantly. But if you read it out of the Amplified, he says to have life in abundance to the full till it overflows. When you speak life, speak to the overflow in your life. We get to the point in life where we define success as survival, where we define success by just having enough, where we define success as just being able to get by. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in just surviving. I'm not interested in just thriving. And guess what? God isn't interested in you just surviving either, or else he wouldn't have said that he's given us life and life more abundantly. It's not necessarily just talking about material things, although God can bless you with that. But he's talking about living life to the fullest. He's talking about living life where you enjoy the journey. A lot of times we're not excited until we get to the destination. But God wants us to enjoy the journey. I'm guilty. I'm the first one. It is not in the DNA of a father. It is in the DNA of a father to plan a great vacation. It is not necessarily in the DNA of a father to enjoy that great vacation. You can ask my kids many a day. I planned a many a vacation. I'm proud of myself. I planned it out. I planned it out. I had some vacations planned, and when my wife got there, she was surprised. But the whole time, I'm in knots. This ain't supposed to be like this. Look, we got to get up. We got to get here at this time. What time's this close? Are we supposed to go? Where are we going to do this? The whole time. I'm budgeting time to relax. Somebody understand what I'm saying? No, nobody else? It's some of you out there. It's some people out there that will reserve time from 2 to 4 to not have anything planned. Oh, you out there. I don't want to call you out. But I know, because I know you, because it's like a radar. When you get in the sense of somebody, I can know because I'm that way. From 2 to 4, we're supposed to be relaxing. And at 4:01, we're supposed to be here. Check with her. I ain't lying. I had to learn. The fact of the matter is, y'all, is that when God says he wants us to have life and life more abundantly, it isn't just about material things. It is about enjoying not just the destination, but the journey along the way. And I'm here to let you know that is a choice. You have to choose to be able to do that. You have to say, Paul even said, I've learned within every situation there within to be content. I've learned how to survive when I've got a lot. I've learned how to survive when I don't have anything. We've got to choose to be happy. We've got to choose life. That's why we started out with that scripture. It says, he said, set before us life and death. Choose life. So what am I telling you here? I'm telling you that our life is supposed to be abundant. Our life is supposed to be vibrant. Our life is supposed to be full. Our life is supposed to be happy. Our life is supposed to be excited. And I'm telling you that is a choice. Too many times we have decided to rely on our external circumstances to dictate the quality of our lives. And I'm here to let you know that will never work on a long-term basis. If you think that having a whole bunch of more money is going to make you happy, now granted, I like money. Yeah, don't get it twisted. And I know that money doesn't buy happiness, but you having some money in your pocket will put a smile on your face. The fact of the matter is that you're going to have problems when you're broke, and you're going to have problems when you got a whole lot of money. I'll take the rich folk problems. I never do understand how people who get a whole lot of money, and I'm digressing, I'm coming to a close. I guess I can understand it, but people get a whole lot of money and then they just lose it all. They just can't seem to make it. Money doesn't do anything but make you more of what you already are. If you was a mess when you didn't have money, you're going to be a bigger mess when you have money. Money just allows you to do more of what you already do, to become more of what you already are. It allows you to be you on a bigger scale. Money doesn't buy happiness. But you know what? I'm be honest. I tell God, I say, now God, I know that money don't buy happiness, but you give it a try. You give me a try. I'll show you how to make it work. Listen, I need you to understand as I close that when God says life, he's not talking about just having a pulse and being alive. He's talking about you having life and life more abundantly. He's talking about you having life to the point where your perspective changes, to where you can actually have a bird's eye view from the top of where you're actually supposed to be. You are made to be above and not beneath. It is important that when you speak life, you realize that you as a child of God are to be speaking life even when you're not opening your mouth. Your disposition, your countenance needs to be one of vibrancy, needs to be one of life. It needs to be electric. When people see you, they enjoy being around you, even if you haven't even. I'm not a big coach. I'm not, there's coaches out there, I've seen them work, and they coach the kids, and they encourage the kids when the kids don't do well. I probably wouldn't do well as a coach. Not because I couldn't speak positive to somebody, but I wouldn't even probably be paying attention. Y'all see what I'm saying? Everybody's not a coach in that regard. But the reality of it is that as saints of God, people ought to be able to be in your presence without you even opening your mouth and feel life exuding from you. So I challenge you here today. Find ways to live life in abundance. Find ways to change your perspective. Find ways to live life like God has called you to live. Change your mindset. Pastor, everything just done gone to just pot in my entire life. It's just a big mess. Everything, my home messed up, my job messed up, my car messed up, my kids messed up. How am I supposed to find life in those situations? There's somebody out there that's worse off than you, baby. There's somebody out there. There's people that think that they're in survival mode, but there's people in the hospital that ain't got no arms and legs. There's people in the hospital that's happy just to be able to wake up in the morning. There's people out there that don't have anybody coming even to see about them. The reality of it is that you have to change your perspective. You have to choose that you're going to live life. So when you speak it, choose that it's going to be something with life here this morning.